I would like to invite Prasad. Are you there? Is Prasad here? Okay. So I would like to invite Dr. Prasad, Mr. Prasad Madhavabhotla over from Applied Materials, Director Engineering, to take the floor and tell us a little about the Applied Materials initiative in the display area. So, Prasad, your audience here. Please.
Can you all see me? Okay, yeah. So good morning. Good morning, all. It's really a privilege for me, and it also gives me always a pleasure when I talk about display. Display means always I get some kind of a goosebumps. Because if something is happening in display in India, so it is always a pleasure for all of us. So can you all, okay, if you think that display fab will happen in the next 2-3 years, can you clap? Oh, see, that much is the confidence which everyone is having on making a display fab stuff and all in India. So we have already seen the talks from the MIT, ISM and all. So I think the policy and everything is pretty much, okay, it is a little bit delayed, but it is going to happen. Coming to the applied material stuff and all, we have been working on both semiconductor side as well as display, both. So that is a very good combination that we are taking the learnings from the semiconductor side and then applying in the display side. So that really helps us to accelerate the technology transformation from lab to fab. Lab side, yeah, it is pretty good, so we can easily do the things, but when it comes to the fab, with the high volume manufacturing stuff and all, it is always a challenging thing. And Applied has been working with our customers, and particularly when it comes to the display or the semiconductor, the customers and equipment suppliers have to work together hand in hand, because customers pave the path for the technology, in which technology it is going further and all, and we equipment suppliers from Applied Materials, we follow the path and then enable that particular thing. So always the technology partner is very much essential and then important to make it happen. And also in one of the talk morning I saw Dr. Krishnan, he's saying that, okay, which technology will go further and all. Yeah, it is always in everyone's mind, okay, shall I go with the OLED? Or now we are saying that, okay, micro-LED is coming, so do we need to invest in the micro-LED? Or we are also seeing that OLED on silicon and then LED on silicon. There are different kind of technologies which we see. And if you see the history of it, right, you all know about the plasma display, PDP stuff. Now nowhere, right? Whoever invested in this, yeah, I think it is pretty risky thing. But if we know that, okay, which technology is good, then definitely there will be huge confidence for every investors to put it into it. So unfortunately, Dr. Indrajit Lahari, he need to give a keynote speak, so he's not well, so he could not be able to make it. So on behalf of him, so I'm just giving some thoughts from my side. So when it comes to that, right, so decades of semiconductor experience, right, now it is compressed into 2 years. India, it entered into this particular thing very late, but what is happening now in the semiconductor industry is in 2 years, that was actually the work done by some of the semiconductor equipment technology partners, decades of experience. Same thing applies to even for the display also. In display, so if you see, then we are having, okay, the Gen 2, Gen 3, Gen 4, now it is Gen 10, even Gen 11 also. But which technology goes for LCD? Which technology goes for the OLED? Or which technology we need to, or which generation we need to use for the micro-LED? So that is all the game, right? I think I will provide some of the slides in the next sessions where I will provide a little bit more details on how to choose and what are the pros and cons and in each and every technology, which way, micro-LED, LCD, and then the OLED, right? And coming to one more thing which I can see is that there is always a tremendous opportunity which we have. And I always see that, okay, we are talking in panels, but we need to move to making panels. So I hope this thing will come true in future pretty much. And always any display or a semiconductor, the customer is very much plays a vital role, means the technology partner. Right? So I think it is always good to go and move with the technology partner to proceed further. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I would now like to request Ms. Neetu Chopra, Executive Committee, SID, Display Engineering Manager, Apple, to please take over the next session. Can we just wait for 5 minutes? I think she's not here. Once she's back, she can... I'm not
Let's
sure
call in
which is
Vignesh. While we're waiting for the session chair to join in, I will take the liberty of announcing our next speaker, Dr. Vignesh Sanmugan from E-Ink. Again, an amazing person, and E-Ink is known to a lot of us in India as Kindle. They are having a unique product in the EPR display. Beyond Kindle, it seeks markets in industrial signages. I have seen some amazing, almost works of art that were actually there on their stalls at SID Display Week. Vignesh, are you ready for your session? You know, we conduct all these specialized workshops. We have done it for automotive display, and I would love to do one for your EPR displays in India, but this is your
We don't connect the screen yet. Good morning to everyone. It's interesting coming up here to talk about technology that has not been mentioned until now. Everyone spoke about LCDs, OLEDs, and MicroLEDs. But what you see here is the future. I'm sure most of you have heard about Kindle. That's the e-ink technology or the e-paper technology. So in the past, people, when you talk about e-paper, people think it's just black and white. We have evolved. So I was looking for the title for today's talk, and I said the best suited caption would be that e-paper is the colorful future. So this year, at SID in the display week, e-paper won the best new display component. That's the Spectra 75-inch. Last year, we won the Display of the Year award. So when such accolades are being awarded, I think there's less and less being spoken about e-paper, and I hope at the end of this session that you will know a little bit more about what e-paper is and what it does. We make surfaces smart and green. This one, what you see, is the first 75-inch outdoor color display. So talking about these different products and why it is important and why we say this is the future. So E-Ink is the innovator, pioneer, and the market leader in manufacturing e-paper technology. It was spun out of MIT labs to commercialize sustainable information. It was founded in 1997. The technology is so unique that the inventors of the technology were inducted into the National Hall of Fame. So far, there are only about 547 inductees. Graham Bell, Thomas Edison, Henry Ford. And out of the 549, there are 3 inventors from E-Ink. We are a global company. The core technology, as I said earlier, was spun out of MIT. The core technology is even today manufactured in the US. We are a $1 billion company. We have more than 3,000 employees. Our factories are in China, in Yangzhou. We have over 6,400 worldwide patents. And in the US alone, we have about 2,600 patents. So we span across technologies and manufacturing. The core display technology is more related to chemical engineering. And then you get into materials. And then you get into the backplane. So what is e-paper? E-paper is a bistable reflective technology. What is bistable? Bistable is that you need power only to change the content. If the content is not changing, it takes absolutely zero power. It's a non-emissive display. There's no backlight. There's no blue light. Because it does not take power like other technologies, you name the LCD, OLED, even micro LEDs, they all need power to show the content. With e-paper, you don't need the power to show the content. You need power only to change the content. This is the core feature, and this is why I go on to say, and as we go through the next few slides, you will understand why this is going to be the future. Having large displays, colorful displays is important. The future is where you are also going to be looking at sustainability. And that's one of the other key features of e-paper. The key characteristics of e-paper is it has wide viewing angles. You don't have any limitations on viewing angles. It's low power. It's always on. Even if you turn the power on, power off, the display is on. So it's an always on. It's like paper. It does not emit light, so it's easy on your eyes. If you look at the construction of an e-paper, you have the front plane, which is the invention, is the e-paper, and then you have a driving back plane, which is the TFT. So the initial invention was with black and white. And we have different platforms, and the earlier platform is called Kata, which is black and white. And the first commercial product was released by Sony in 2004 as an e-reader device. And in 2007, Amazon released the first Kindle product. We are in 2025, and Amazon has continued to release an e-reader every year. And 2 years ago, they also got into a writing device. So the initial invention was black and white. Obviously, understanding the features and the capabilities, the industry wanted more. And then we started doing more R&D and trying to get into color. Then we developed the 3-color displays, which was black, white, and red, or black, white, and yellow, which was mostly used in the retail industry. Then we moved on, we brought in 4 colors, black, white, red, and yellow. And now we have brought what we call as the Spectra 6, which is the most dynamic color display that you will find in the market. Please keep in mind, these are reflective displays. So the brightness you see is, you have to understand that there is no light that's coming out. It's just using the ambient light. See, there are some limitations with that, and then we developed the Kaleido product, which is a color filter on top of the black and white. So these are the different platforms of e-paper technology. And based on the technology, it's used for different applications. E-reader still continues to be a major product segment. Electronic shelf label, actually, it has been growing exponentially within the last few years. Then into digital signage, and lately into color material called the prism. If any of you had a chance to be present or see the video of the CES in 2023, the color-changing BMW car, it uses e-paper. Now this is where e-paper is making surfaces smart and green. No other display technology can achieve what e-paper is achieving today. So if you look at our ecosystem, as I said earlier, you need the core TFT backplane, then you need the driving electronics, the IC components, you need system integrators. And right now, globally, we have a very strong and significant ecosystem. Now, coming into the Indian context, before I move on, see, this is a key slide. I have personally been in the display industry for about over 30 years and worked across multiple display technologies, and I've been with E Ink for the last 15 years. Those of you, or those of us who have been in the industry, this is a key slide. The previous presenters did share about these different global TFT manufacturers. Each one of these TFT manufacturers is embracing e-paper. It's no simple feat. They see the future. This is going to be the future. The slides I showed you earlier, so we are not only doing small displays, now we are moving into the larger segment. Out of these partnerships, we have a special partnership with Sharp. And my colleague Ajit, I think, follows and will also talk more about what Sharp is doing as far as developing new products. You know, they have developed the world's first A2 e-poster. It's amazing. In an Indian context, we have been coming into India for the last few years. This technology is very new in India. I think probably in the coming display conferences, people will start talking about e-paper more, and it will be another technology as well, in addition to LCDs, OLEDs, and micro-LEDs. The future is here. So we have a strategic partnership with Panasonic India, who's bringing the complete solutions to the market, to the end user. We have SuperS, who designs, develops, and manufactures solutions in India. See, even though we have ecosystem partners across the globe, I think due to the taxes and import restrictions, and most importantly, needing to be cost effective, we need someone to manufacture here. So SuperS is our manufacturer, a partner who manufactures complete solutions. We have Alpha ICT, who is focused on an IoT solutions. And then we also have a partner called Itomi, who is doing in India the eNote solutions. And I will touch on that as we move on. So, having given the basic understanding of what the technology and what it can do, we have expanded into many applications. Even though we started with e-paper, with e-readers, we have now moved on to eNote. I think it was interesting. This is a product by a company called Remarkable. I think they announced yesterday another new product. One of the best writing devices. Most of us are using paper. Actually, e-paper, we actually compete with paper. We want to replace paper. We are not to compete with LCDs. Please make sure, because sometimes people come and say, oh, I have an LCD. No, we compete with paper, but we complement in applications that LCDs happen. As of today, based on the fundamentals of the technology, you can't show video, but you can show fast animation, continued information. Those can be used. So we started with e-readers, e-notes. We moved into retail, into digital signage, into industrial tags, into logistics. So there are many applications. And finally, as I was talking to you earlier, is the Prism technology, which is going into flexible surfaces. In the education sector, Itomi is our partner here in India, and they have created the first e-paper education platform. So I think a few years ago, the current government came up with a policy of reducing the size of the school bag. And that's where this device is about. So you can load all your school textbooks, reference materials. It can be used for note-taking. You can write examinations. Everything is done, and the student only carries this. So in this effort, Itomi has created the entire education platform. And right now they have many proof of concepts that many universities and schools are using for. As we evolved with color, you will also see e-readers and e-notes coming into color as well. Smart retail. So this, as I said earlier, is a booming industry for e-paper, and mostly if you travel across the globe, almost 80% of the retail industry uses e-paper signages. From an Indian context, these are some of the examples that you see. Sweet shops, supermarkets, duty-frees, electronic retail stores, even hospitality. The photo you have there is from JW Marriott in Mumbai for their menu signs. E-paper is also used for logistics. In hospitals, smart hospitals. So starting from the time you enter the hospital, instead of writing on a piece of paper and giving your confidential information to the receptionist, who has no clue, now has all your private information, and then she has to enter, and then it has to be stored. Now we eliminate that whole process. You have a device like this, which has the application. So you write it, and you say send, and it goes in, and it integrates with their back-end system. So there's more privacy and easy access. Then as you move on, patient room information, even when you're waiting for the doctor. Right now, all those are LCDs, which are just showing static information. It needs power continuously, and when those LCDs, many LCDs are there in the room, it's generating heat. So you're using more energy to cool the room. And this is where e-ink shines, and this is where e-ink finds its use case. Smart cities. Again, as I said earlier, since we take low power and we take power only to change the content, this can be used with solar. It can be even battery operated. As you see in these are all real pictures, by the way. These are not animations or E-paper is also used for digital license plate. We have an ex-colleague here, Harit Doshi. Harit and I used to work at E-Ink together, and this particular customer is called Reviver in the US, who came up with the idea of digital license plate. Lots of people didn't believe. We were wondering why and what it is, but today 10 states in the US has approved the use of digital license plate. And I was visiting Manipal, and one of the companies who wanted to talk to us and said, hey, we want to use digital license plate. And I said, really? Because it's pretty costly. And they said, oh, don't worry about the cost. We want to see how we can implement it. And then I was curious. I asked why. They said 60% of the drivers in the state drive with expired insurance. So they wanted an e-ink license plate. So the moment the insurance expires, it will immediately say insurance expired, so they cannot take their car out of the garage. And they said, don't worry about the cost, that will cover the cost. So it was interesting. So there are many use cases, and one of the things that at the end I will talk about is with e-paper, your imagination is the only limitation. Some of these applications that we think about, will sometimes you scratch your head and say, is this real? That's the same thing with the BMW color-changing car. Who would have thought somebody wants a color-changing car? We first thought it was just a concept. Now they are into the third generation of the car. Smart cities. So these are also real installations. And here, some of the largest display we did initially was 42-inch. So people have tiled the displays together. They don't want high-bright Las Vegas looking cities. So that's where E-ink comes into play. One of them is a parking meter, and the other one is for parking where you can change from time to time. Smart transportation. There are many projects that are on the way in India as well. Some of you might recognize some of those words there. It's in Tamil. It's in Chennai Metro. It was again an interesting project. They used 2 large LCDs and a big media box in between. And this is replaced by an e-paper display. Because we take low power, this is powered by PoE, power over Ethernet. So the infrastructure cost is minimal. One of the other key features of e-paper is you don't need to replace, like LEDs or LCDs. They have a half-life time. So you can use for 3 years, 4 years, or 5 years. After that, you have to replace. With e-paper, you don't have that. So your total cost of ownership is almost 50% of any similar technology that you will adopt. These are some of the other applications specific to India is the seat tag. So where you have long distance traveling in India and people get in and get out. So one of the interesting use cases where we were at a show and one of the bus owners came and said, this is great, but can you help us? We have an issue where our bus leaves Chennai and goes to Kasi. And while it goes, the first passenger, we have a record of the first passenger. He gets off at Bangalore. After Bangalore, the bus is going empty as far as we know. But the driver is getting another passenger there and he's pocketing the income. So they wanted to see how we could eliminate. So our partner Superas has been working with them and has provided the solution. They're running, I think, 3 buses with seat tags. Airports. This is one of my favorites. Couple of these images are courtesy by Sharp. That is a Sharp display on the Ahmedabad airport. Again, these are all real deployments in Bangalore airport, in Mumbai, in Hyderabad. And we are also working now with Delhi. Hopefully soon you will see these signage in Delhi airport as well. Most of these duty-free shops have. Even Delhi airport duty-free has it. But we are also going to have other signages that are going to be used. In Bangalore, when we installed the app, installed the signage, the second day, they had an internet outage. And the e-paper signage became very, very useful because they were able to update the information using BLE. Automotive space. So as I said earlier on, the vehicle tags and messaging, exterior and multicolor interiors. If I could play this video. So this is the current BMW that has the color changing film. Interesting, did I miss that one? Okay. Interestingly enough, after seeing the color changing car, this customer from Mexico came in and said he was a professional guitarist. And he said, can I get my guitar to change colors based on the tone I play? And I said, huh? But actually we made it happen. This year they showed this, they demonstrated this guitar at one of their trade shows. This goes back to what I say, imagination is your only limitation on what you can do with e-paper. So these are some multiple use cases in a local context. I think some of you would recognize some of the faces there. We have done meeting room signs, electronic time cards, photo frames, and that one is a dynamic QR code at the Mumbai airport. So why use the dynamic QR code? Another use case for e-paper. Right now you have static QR codes, either on paper or on LCDs. What happens is when you make a mistake in making the payment, let's say you have to pay 100 rupees, and by mistake you enter 1,000 and you send, it's gone. There's no way the retailer can refund you that money. So this was a big headache for the banks at the end of the day or end of the month to reconcile, and there was a lot of cost involved. So this is the application here where you're using e-paper for dynamic QR code. So each person, based on their transaction, would have the value show up, and when you pay, you immediately get a response as that you paid the right amount. As I said, these are local use cases because some of these use cases are very specific to the region. The digital photo frame, this is really catching up the market these days. Keep in mind, as I said earlier, if the content is not changing, it's taking zero power. So all these photo frames are battery powered. If you change the photo once a day, you can use it for almost 16 months without charging the battery. So, summing it up, e-paper is in a connected world. We have got into many industries, into education, into healthcare, into retail, into hospitality. We are huge into green, as I said earlier, as it takes low power. And if you look from a sustainability perspective, it does not leave any carbon footprint. It emits less CO2 compared to any other technologies. It also got the award to say that it is the IDC award for a green display that does not emit or disturb the ozone zone. We have received many international recognitions, and as we move on, the future is going to be cordless, effortless, and sustainable. And that's e-paper. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Vignesh, for that great talk. Okay. With that, I would like to welcome our next speaker from Sharp, Ajit Aras. He's the Executive Vice President of the Sharp Electronics Corporation, and he'll be sharing his perspective on display market and trends. Welcome, Ajit.
Thank you, Vignesh. I think I can cut about 3 minutes of my presentation, thanks to your explanation. And I think Neetu will thank me for that, right? So coffee on you, Neetu, right, later. So this usually happens when you proceed through the mid of the day, and the one request to the presenters, yeah, you can share about the technology and everything, but can you please save on time? So, okay, we'll keep to the time, yeah, try to. Okay, is this one? Oops, okay, good. Okay, I think we had a very good session yesterday. Harit moderated it, and Dr. Raj and Abhijit Kotnis from Dixon. And I think these guys really set a good teaser or a start to this display conference, right? And if I may quote Dr. Raj, and I think he's somewhere outside enjoying his coffee, but I'll still quote him. He said, technologies, of course, can do a lot of things, right? But end of the day, which technology matches perfectly to the market, that's the one that wins, right? And again, to quote him and what Mr. Amitesh quoted him in the morning as well, there are always these two technologies, right? And the second one is always trying to outseat the first one and worrying that the third one, is trying to outseat the first one, right? And sometimes, as in my presentation, I'll try to show, the first one kind of fights back as well. So that's the teaser to what we're going to see. So I come from Sharp, and of course Sharp has been doing LCDs and displays for over 30 years now, 40 years, and that reminds me of Ye Jo Hai Zindagi, and I'm telling my age when I say that. And there was Satish Shah, if you guys remember, and he said 30 years ka experience hai, if you remember that. So when I work with Sharp, I can proudly say that, though it's not mine, is all the engineers and technologies and R&D guys who have put in their efforts and really bringing to life the technologies that are being put in the market today, right? I'm going to share on their behalf. If you'd like to talk more, Mr. Taniguchi and team is there about back of this stage, right? So there we are. Okay, when I approach especially markets like India and other emerging markets in Asia, and that's my main portfolio, that's my mandate, one of the main factor that comes is, what works for the market, right? And today I tried to make, and this is always a question to me because Sharp has too many technologies, including now E-ink, thanks to Vignesh and E-ink. Okay, which technologies are most relevant, most matching to the context, right? And I took the context of emerging markets because India has been an emerging market, actually driving the emerging markets, and we'll talk more from that reference. Right? So the first step I did is, try to see the display usage by technology, the breakup of, what kind of display, what kind of applications use displays, right? And we took area because, we talk about production, and we're talking about factories, we're talking about ecosystem, supply chain, and so on. So the area is more important than the revenue, right? And this is a graph that I came up with, and is not my own graph, it's coming from Omdia data, right? 2024 and 2025, we were close to 70% was occupied by TV. Okay, so a lot of display that we talk about, by area, the largest application which consumes display is television, right? And fast forward to 2030, big surprise to me that nothing changes much. Okay, that TV still will dominate about 70%. So, by area, therefore, TV is a, force to reckon, right? In display, industry as a whole. Right, and therefore we'll talk a little bit about what's happening on the TV. And here's where I quoted the two technologies. So OLED entered TV in about 2013, right? That was the first OLED TV. Okay, and since then to now, 2025, maybe about 12 years now, about a dozen years, and roughly the market share of OLED in TV, we are talking specifically about TV, is about 3% odd. Okay, as you can see from the graph, and happy to share. If you like me on LinkedIn, right? Just kidding. Happy to share the presentation. Anyway, right? So these are anyway counterpoint data. So thanks to you. Right? Okay, and then as we were talking about the LCD or the first technology fighting back, then came Mini LED. Okay, now Mini LED is LCD with just a mini LED backlight. Okay? And we'll talk a bit more about that. Was launched in 2019, and this is the scenario that you see in the TV market. Okay? Yes, the low end or the mid end is still dominated by LCD, but the surprise comes from the premium segment, which is to your right hand side. Okay? And as you see just about in the center of the page, mini LED takes roughly about 10% of the market share. Okay, so if you just sum up the rest, the premium segment takes totally about 13% for 13 to 14%. Hey, how are you? 14%, and out of which mini LED takes about 10%. So clearly a winner in the premium segment of LCDs as well, and that makes LCD as a technology to be dominate the TV market. And that's again very important when we are trying to build fabs and ecosystems in India. Okay. Now, I think time is short, so I'll just skip the very much details, but again, happy to share later. And if you see the main difference between LCD TV, or what we call as LED TV, LCD backlit by LED today, and a mini LED TV is just in the backlight. Okay. So the panel, the open cell as we call it, which again my predecessors mentioned, was all imported, remains the same. Okay. So LCD then comes in as a key technology for TV panels. Okay. Okay. How do they do that? For today's LED TVs, what we call it, or rather LED TV on the market, typically you'll have what, dozen or maybe hundreds of LEDs which are powering or using the backlight. Okay. That's how we see the image on the picture. Okay. And let's say with local dimming, the number of LEDs are increased. And we have certain LEDs glowing less and certain LEDs glowing more, and with that we can have higher contrast. Okay, contrast is improved. Okay, then comes to mini LED. This goes to thousands. Okay, so and therefore the name mini. Again, we are all talking still about the backlight. The front glass open cell is still the same in all the three cases. Okay, and therefore the backlight as well produces almost an image of what's on the front of the screen. Okay, and this backlight, how well it emulates the front picture, that determines the contrast that we see on the front screen. Okay, so that's how if we see on the right hand side, the backlight almost is following the picture on the screen. Okay, and therefore is delivering the contrast. Now, with those screens, you might not be really able to appreciate the difference in the black level, but that's what actually happens. And I think this was a key point to be seen from the technology point of view in many LEDs. Okay? And this is a comparison. Of course, as you see, green is good, red is no good, yellow is somewhere in between, because it's always a trade-off, right, when we talk about technologies. And again, as you can see, the mini LED is kind of the best sweet spot between these technologies. And again, this is from the context of LCDs, right? If we talk about the mobile phones, then it's a different game. Right? And then there clearly OLED has a dominance, right? So it's all about application and matching to the market. Okay. Great. Then we do cost analysis, and thanks to my colleague of Abhay for getting me this Indian currency picture, because if you go to PowerPoint and automated, it just shows euros and US dollars and stuff. I said, no, this is a presentation in India, right? So Abhay got me this picture. Okay, coming again, back to our topic. LCDs or OLEDs, you see a clear domination on the cost or the price. Okay, and we have Dixon in the room, we have Resolute team in the room, and price benefit or price importance, I think India market knows the best, right? So cost is always a force to reckon. And if, let's say, fast forward to 2028, again, this is counterpoint research, and I'm quoting them here. The difference still remains roughly about 3 times, or if you talk about mini LED, still about twice the benefit, right, in terms of LCD as compared to OLED. Okay, micro LEDs on the horizon, certainly. Okay, and but I think one look at the price, and then how long it's going to take, right? But besides that, I'll also like to highlight on the resolution of the PPI. And micro LEDs still have some way to go. Of course, technologies evolve, technologies will get better and better, but we still need a lot of runway for it to come to the mainstream as far as the home TVs are considered. But yes, signages or perhaps screens like this, micro LED could have an advantage. Okay. Moving to ITPC markets, again from Sharp, we are leading by improving LCDs. Okay, and these are some of the improvements that we are doing. Now, when we carry a laptop, of course, I see on the flights now that most people have their laptop on and Netflix downloaded and enjoying the movie, and there you really want the best contrast and the best sound effect and stuff like that, right? But most of the times when we work or pretend to work, so, no, just kidding. But anyway, working, and then battery life is one of the key important factor, which comes back to us from the the laptop or the PC manufacturers again and again. So the request to us is, hey Sharp, what can we do to improve the battery life by 10%, 20%, 25%, whatever it is, 13%. So every half an hour or an hour of battery life increase is a big advantage. And as a LCD, I must confess, or as a display, it takes significant amount of BOM. Yes, several guys talked about this in the morning, but also on the battery. Okay, so LCD is quite a pressure on the any display is quite a pressure on the battery, of course, except E-ink. Okay, and here I like to shed some light on contrast. Okay, and pun intended, and we'll see it in the next slide what we are talking. Now, contrast as a spec when it comes with a product, we are talking about contrast in absolute darkness. Okay, so we get screens which are 1,000,000:1 contrast, and and so on, right? But that's the spec when you are watching it in absolute darkness. Okay, zero light. And then you have those, because that's the way contrast is measured, right? Black level over white level. That's how we engineers measure it. But in reality, seldom, especially with, TVs, we can switch off the lights and so on, but with laptops, seldom there is a time when, the ambient light is low or zero is almost impossible. So most work is done in offices, in airports, in lounges, where you have a lot of light. Okay, and what happens then is, as you see on the picture here, okay, ambient light in this case is 2000 lux, and you are seeing for particular contrast how you see the picture, right? The same displays, nothing is changed on the right hand side, okay, but ambient light is high. Okay, and this is exactly what happens when you open up your laptop in outdoors or in high brightness, and the picture is barely visible, because contrast is one single important factor for visibility, right? And so how do we improve it? Okay, one of the firstly, why this is, right? Why this happens? As I said, the spec of contrast is white level over black level, right? So as long as your black level is higher or better, then your contrast goes up, and therefore your visibility is better, right? But that's more of a formula in theory. Okay? In practice, there are some more forces which are coming in picture, and that's the ambient light, the light which is emitted from our surroundings, which is then reflected back by the LCD together with what the LCD or the OLED is supposed to see or show, right? And that actually helps in a wrong way and reduces the contrast or reduces the visibility. So how do we improve it? So, so this is what happens on contrast. When we start, we are somewhere here in a dark room, perfect, 1,000,000:1 or whatever, but at most of the times, we are working around this time, the blue dots, okay? That's the realistic, let's say, luminance, which is less than the one in this room. Okay, this room is really well lit, okay? Less than the room, let's say a typical office environment or a lounge environment, right? And that's where the contrast drops. Okay, so next time you check the spec, please also check it in the daylight for devices. Okay, now how do we do it is by reducing the reflection. Okay, and by reducing the reflection, we may start maybe just at maybe 3000 contrast or so on, but the reduction with light is much lesser. Okay, and therefore we can have enough contrast in the real working environments. Okay, so that's one of the steps that we are doing, and this is becoming, or rather putting LCDs back into the the high end or mid high end levels. Okay, and I'll give you one more point of coming back to the battery life later. Okay, so yeah, even in high brightness is reduced. That means is lower power consumption. That means is a higher battery life. Okay, and yeah, these are real samples that we have done. Okay, and yeah, as you can see, not only the black level, but you can improve. The color level is about the same. Okay, but because your reflection is now gone down, the noise light is less, the perceived color is better when we do this lower reflection. Okay, so this is how we are playing with the technology. Okay, now thinking fast and slow. I think most of us might have read the book, but I'm not going to talk about that. Okay, any picture, as we know, any video is just multiple frames of pictures running fast, right? So we say, 50 hertz, or we say 60 hertz, or now 100 or 120 hertz, right? Double the speed, right? But when we are running that fast on the screen, the CPU is working hard as well, okay, and therefore the battery is being consumed as well. Right? And there is where we are trying to go, not to zero, but let's say at 120 hertz, which is most of the laptops, good laptops that you use today. Okay, there is where the power consumption is when you are at let's say 120 hertz. But by reducing your refresh rate to 1 hertz, that means slow down the display, we can cut down the power consumption by about 60%. Okay, so cutting down from the top, bringing it down, and that can then extend the battery life in this particular case. And this is a real laptop by Dynabook. Okay, with that test pattern, which consumes significant amount of energy, we can increase the battery life by 4.9 hours. I mean, let's say 5 hours, but that's the Japanese precision to write 4.9. But I would say 5 hours is what you get, on an increased battery life, and that's significant. Right, 5 hours is significant. That means you can really work in your car back and so on. Okay, but then you can't run videos with that, right? So when I said 1 hertz, we can drive slow, is when the picture is static, or we are doing some slow job, like the Word file or Excel file or something, or even a presentation where you have just a screen staying there for a while. Yeah? But what happens when you have a certain section where maybe you're watching the stock codes, or maybe some updates, or even a movie, maybe not so casual workings. You are having a news channel running, for example, on the screen. Okay, so the current way is you run at 120 hertz, but the improvement that Sharp has managed to do is selective refresh rate control. That means within the same screen, the top bar and the bottom bar can stay at 1 hertz. Remember, the bottom bar and top bar never changes, right? Those are the menus and stuff. But the screen where you need can still run at fast speed. Okay, so typically about 120 hertz to 8 hertz, something like that, right? Top and bottom at 8 hertz, and the middle video at 120 hertz. Okay, and that then helps us to optimize the power. Okay, so we can't reduce it by 60%, but you can save a fair lot, maybe 30-40% or so on. Depends on the size of the high speed, so on. Okay, so these are some of the improvements that we have been working, and these are in actual designing now. Right, so you should be seeing it with the commercial laptops that you can buy early next year, which is very soon. Okay, and yeah, this is again quoting Omdia. So Indrajit is here, quoting your report. Again, Sharp was the first one to have a 1 to 120 hertz in a single panel. Okay, in 2025, which is this year. So these are ready stuff, not just something laboratory. Okay, now coming to co-innovating the sustainable signages. Okay, and here is where I cut down my presentation time, because Vignesh has shared something very, very well. Okay, and I'll just borrow from there. So this portion I was sure Vignesh will cover very well, of course, right? So one point just to highlight is any display that we talk about, OLED, or and this was talked about again in Harit, your session yesterday, right? LCD or whatever, MicroLED or e-ink even, right? Those are all the front planes that we see. Okay, but asli sutradhar piche hai, no? You say, right? The guy who drives this is behind, and that's called the back plane, as we say in a let's say display context, right? So the back plane has those transistors which are driving each and every dots that we see on the front plane. Okay, and these dots could be LCD, these dots could be OLED, these dots could be e-ink, and so on. Yeah? And we call it, of course, the back plane, which could be TFT, as what is known, very popular, one of the most popular back plane, or one of the best known back plane. And then it could be using oxide, which Sharp's patent technology is IGZO. Okay, the last O in IGZO stands for oxide. And that's the colloquial name, but just for record, it says indium gallium zinc oxide, just in case for academic interest, right? So with this backplane added to the e-ink, right? हम लोग चार चांद लगा देते हैं, if I may use the phrase. So we kind of improve the performance of e-ink, right? And here is the improvements that you can see, further improvements with pardon, I would like to say, in e-ink. So image quality is much higher, okay, 40% resolution up, okay, and in paper, resolution is the key, right? We want to see the finer details and stuff like that when we are writing or when we are reading, right? And this can be achieved with a ICEO backplane on the e-ink. Right? So there is where one big change. Another is we can really make those frames very thin, and that means we can have tiling, right? Because the appetite for display is getting just bigger and bigger and bigger, right? So we bring A4 paper or 13-inch display, and the customer says, "Hey, I want A3." Right, and we bring A3 and they say, "I want A2," and the race is never, and which is a very good problem for display makers like us. We are very happy with that, because that means we can sell more and more and more as we go, right? So, but having said that, there are also big investments and technological limitations as well. So the ability to tile it gives us a lot of scope, or it increases our limit. Okay, so that's one of the big benefits by adding ICEO, and then. The updates are more smoother, I would say, on ink. Okay, we try to emulate a little bit of transitions, and I was watching the static displays around here. Most of them are still LCDs, so we should aim next year to change them to e-ink. But most of them are showing just a static picture, and when the picture changes, they do a bit of transition, and that's what we achieve with e-ink as well, using the slow speed that e-ink has. Right? Okay, now the little different different turn that Sharp has taken compared to lots of that full page that you showed is, yes, and again I will quote Vignesh, is e-ink is trying to replace paper, right? And we don't buy paper in 32-inch and 43-inch and 55-inch, right? Then we buy TVs in that sizes, right? We buy paper as A4 or A3 or A2 and A1. Right, and at Sharp we said, yes, if we are going after paper, then we need to do things in the paper way, right? And there is a lot of science, there is a lot of course, biology as well, how our eye perceives the the width and the height, and that's how these sizes have come, which have been there for decades, right? So we said we should innovate in a way that we can bring back that paper format, and that small change is really giving a lot of good feedback from our customers. So we have the A3 now ready. And then we are, A2 now ready, and the A3 and A1 are on the cards, right? Which should be in next year. Okay. Now this is the problem that we are trying to solve. The handwritten boards or the static boards, it's a pain to change. Okay. So the solution is e-ink, where you can change remotely, you can change locally if you want. And the pictures on the right, these are real pictures of real solutions and real products. Made by Us, and I think Ali is here somewhere on this side. Right? Yeah. Okay, so just in case you like to understand more and rather please want to use them, please communicate with Ali from Us, okay, whose team has really built them. And yeah, here we go. So the benefit that we are bringing with e-ink is dynamic content. You can change the contents on the paper, right? Of course, which can be then remotely updated, and energy saving because you don't need power when you're not changing the image. Okay, lightweight, you can really carry these displays around easily. Okay, and that's why hyper portable is what I would say. Okay, and then yeah, next page. So yeah, I think you saw the teaser of these pictures already in the presentation before me. So the left one, left first, is one at Ahmedabad airport. And yeah, that is Mr. Okawara and Mr. Taniguchi on the right-hand side there as well at the airport. But the middle one is actually a farmer's market, okay, and in Singapore. So Singapore is trying to do this farmer's market and stuff. And such places, you don't have really the power to bring for displays. Okay, and there is where e-ink kind of displays come in, where you have burnt or rather printed what you want, and then the display is still dynamic. Okay, so this real pictures. That's my colleague in the red T-shirt there. Okay, yeah, with the advent of e-ink and such, we call it outdoor displays. One of the perk in my job as a sales is to enjoy a lot of beach. and I can tell my boss, no, I'm doing market research and business development. And indeed, the photo on the left is a real photo. We had a sup race, on one of the beach in Singapore, and there is where the e-poster was really used, right? The middle ones, again, the one in the sup race. Okay, and yeah, you talked about photo frame, Vignesh. So the one on the right is indeed a photo frame done by Aras and team, right? And again, we are showing to some customers in Singapore. So this is Make in India, take to Singapore and demonstrate to Singapore. Pardon me if somebody doesn't like the analogy, but that's the fact that we have done there. Okay, so yeah, that's okay. One more small point to go. We heard a lot of buzz around mini LED and micro LED, right? And as technology goes, always you go further smaller. And we should talk about nano LED, right? But again, this is not just the rat race, but Sharp is indeed working on what we call as inorganic self-emitting displays. Okay? OLEDs are self-emitting displays, right? But organic, and micro LED is inorganic self-emitting displays, and we are coming up with nano LEDs, which are again inorganic self-emitting displays, but further better resolution. Okay, and yeah, Sharp has been always in the self-emitting displays as well, but the latest push is with nano LEDs. Okay, and I think so nano LED, it combines benefit of OLEDs, okay, with the improved contrast and so on. Flexibility is possible. Okay, but then again, this is a manufacturing-oriented conference, and I need to highlight that you can produce nano LEDs with lots of LCD infrastructure. Okay, and that could be a game changer. So we don't need to set up, of course we need to modify the fabs, but we need to set up fabs ground up, okay, and therefore the investment is much more optimized. Okay, so that's one big advantage of nano LED. Of course, it's work in progress. In the analogy that we started with, we can call it as the third technology, fighting to come in the mainstream. But again, that's the nature of technology, right? That's how we go. Okay. So yeah, these are again the benefits of nano LED, and I think is already highlighted. But yeah, if you just like to have a phase of it or photo of it, there is where we go. Okay, in the interest of time, I'll just skip. And yeah, so this is again SIDs of this year, SID 2024 conference. Okay, and again, Sharp was the first one to display cadmium-free QD display, which is nano LED. Okay, so working to improve the displays, but at the same time being conscious about our environment while saving power by using better materials and so on. Okay, so that's the theme we go. And yeah, with that, I look forward to making this planet greener and faster as well. Okay, thank you. Thanks so much.
Right. Thank you, Ajit, for that wonderful talk and covering a lot of different ground on different technologies. I would like to mention, if you're interested in learning more about some of the details of the technologies, such as the mini LEDs or even the LCD and local dimming, we do have short courses tomorrow at IIT, so you are welcome to join them, and so you can go more in depth in some of these topics. With that, for our next talk, I would like to invite Sanjay Munshi he's the CEO of the Resolute Group, and he has a long career from LG Electronics. So with that, let's welcome him for the talk. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. A little tough time in the day to give a presentation, just very close to the lunch time. But anyway, I'll try to keep it short. See, I'll just start first with a brief introduction of our organization, the LCGC Resolute Group. We as a group are in the manufacturing of televisions, front-loading washing machines, and telecom products, particularly the IDUs, ODUs, and RMDUs, and digital set-top box manufacturing. We have basically 6 plants, and we are based out in Hyderabad. We have 3 SMT factories. 2 are located in Hyderabad and 1 in Pune. We have 9 lines, and where we are basically doing the telecom products and the set-top boxes and the TV PCBA. Apart from that, as far as products are concerned, we are doing the televisions, which are the only product we are doing as far as displays are concerned. We have a capacity of 4.5 million units. We have 6 LCM and final assembly lines, and we are doing from 32 inches to 75 inches televisions, and also a small quantity of the IFPDs. We also have a front-loading front-load washing machine manufacturing facility, where we are in joint venture with the Amber Group. Here we have one line with a capacity of 300K units annually, and we do from 6 to 12 kg washing machines. Also, to support our vertical integration, we have an injection molding and EPS plant. So that's about the LCGC Resolute group. And as I already told, as far as display is concerned, our key product is the television, where we are doing the EMS manufacturing for some of the top brands in India. That's what I'm going to be talking about. If we see the global LCD TV scenario, in 2024, it was around 224 million units. And if we analyze the overall market, it's not been growing at all. As far as TV market is concerned, it's pretty sluggish, and particularly impacted by the sales in North America and Europe, the sluggish sales. Also, if you see the key players in this business, the top 5 contribute to almost 55% of the market, and it's almost evenly split between the Chinese and the Korean brands. And if we come to the global TV production, almost 60 to 65% of the global TV production happens in China, followed by Vietnam around 12%, and we are just contributing, India is just contributing around 5 to 6% of the global production. Technologies, as already so many people talked, we have the LED TFT based televisions, QLED, OLED, MicroLED, and the nano cell. And the resolution is currently 4K and 8K we are operating. Coming to operating systems, Android continues to be the dominant operating system with almost 38% of the share, followed by Tizen, which is around 21.3%. As far as key technologies is concerned, I'll just not talk too much because already it has been covered much in detail. But the only point I would like to highlight is the amorphous silicon-based TFT continues to be the strong player in this segment. The only challenger as far as the complete technology is concerned was OLED, and already as Ajit explained, since last 12 years, they have been able to penetrate only 3% of the market, primarily because of the huge cost difference. And just have a perspective, the cost difference in India, we compare, it take a 55-inch OLED TV and a 55-inch TFT-based 4K UHD TV is almost 2.5 times. So still, because of this very big cost difference, this particular technology has not been able to ramp up the way it was expected to. So in short, the TFT-based LCD will continue to be the dominant player in this in television market. Coming to India, we expect the Indian market to be somewhere between 13 to 15 million units. And if we see the sales distribution, almost 60 to 75% of the 70% of the total sale is happening through offline channels, that is the regular channels, and 30 to 35% happens through online. Coming to the market, the India TV market is completely dominated by the Korean and the Chinese brands. We don't have any strong local player, local brand as far as TVs are concerned. LG and Samsung together contribute to more than 50% of the market, and followed very closely by TCL and Haier and Hisense. If you see the market, it's completely a domestic driven market, and there's almost negligible sales. In fact, this is one of the big issues with the TV manufacturing in India. If we go around 20 years back in TV manufacturing, when CRT used to be the dominant technology in TVs, India, the big chunk of India's export sales those days, of course, the export sales were not so high, but it used to be television. Television used to lead the electronic exports of India. Although India was not a very big contributor to the overall global television markets. One of the reasons for that was that we had almost 80% value addition when it was the time during the era of the CRT televisions. We had the local picture tube manufacturers. We had almost most of the electromechanical components which were done locally, except the semiconductors and the ICs and the other semiconductors. Most of the parts were localized. So that used to give us some opportunity to explore the outside markets. The transition is more towards now smart TV, and the fact that till now we had a GST where the GST for 32-inch and below televisions was 18%, and for higher screen sizes above 32 inches was 28%, was one of the reasons why we still had a very strong 32-inch based market in India. But now that this has been rationalized 18%, but so we hope to see that this transition towards large screen is going to happen very fast, and we are also going to be we see that the screen size distribution is going to be at par with the global level. The major growth drivers for television are the OTT platforms, and we have large regional language content. And also the local broadcaster Doordarshan has been promoting the digital satellite transmission. Coming to India television manufacturing landscape, we have the major manufacturers are of course Dixon, which has almost 6 million capacity. We at Radiant have 4.5 million capacity, and since last couple of years, another key player which has come into the landscape is CSOT, which has been doing a very big, substantial manufacturing for its own brand as well as the EMS business. So if you see total India TV capacity, it's 20 million plus, and almost 100% of it, as I already told, is for domestic manufacturing. If you see the kind of assembly that we are doing currently, it's basically more of module assembly and the final line assembly. And also we are doing certain PCB assembly, the injection molding, stamping and packaging part. If you combine all this value, which I will be showing the subsequent slides, the total value contribution is not more than 20%. However, for key parts like open cell and for semiconductors, we have 100% dependency of imports. This, as I already told, this relatively low value add is impacting our export capabilities and confining our production to almost entirely for the domestic market. So if you do the cost analysis of the television, the module almost contributes to 55 to 60% of the cost. Now, if you see in case of module also, we have open cell, which is completely imported. And we have, since last year or so, we have one manufacturer, CSOT, which is doing the local bonding. So we can say almost more than 80% of the open cell that we are consuming in India doesn't have the local bonding. Coming to the other parts, the PCBA and the power supply, which contributes almost 20 to 25% of the total cost, except the manufacturing value add, as far as BOM is concerned, is almost 100% imported. Plastic and plastic speakers and the accessories and injection parts, which contribute around 15 to 20% of the part, are largely localized. So these are the only parts which are contributing to the major local value add. So if you see overall, more than 80% of the material is imported and less than 20% is the local BOM value add. Now coming to the LED module again, if you see LED module, almost 80 to 85% of the cost is the open cell, where we don't have any local source as of now, and we have very limited local bonding facility. The other parts like reflector sheets and LED backlight also, which contribute to 10 to 12% of the module cost, they are also more or less imported. And the only value add that is happening in terms of BOM cost is the sheet metal stamping parts and some of the injection molding parts which are used as a front cabinet. So which is maximum to the 7% level. So what we can say is that in case of LED module also, more than 90% is the imported and less than 10% we are having the local value add. Coming to open cell global supply chain situation, as we can see, we have now some of the module manufacturers who have gone up to Gen 11 line, but mainly the highest right now which are operating is the 10.5 Gen display fabs. See, if you see the global supply chain overall, almost more than 60% of the value chain is in China, followed by Taiwan. But if you come to television, television it's even more stark. The contribution of the total open cell for television manufacturing, more than 70% is now concentrated in China. The reason being that, as we know that Samsung, they already stopped their TFT production. Similarly, the LGD, they also sold one of their fab plants to CSOT in China. So this the whole thing is very rapidly getting concentrated in China. I mean, that is one of the issues as we move forward, the concentration of the supply chain in one part and the risks associated with that. So these are some of the main players in the TV open supply chain, where currently, if you see, since we see the May and June 25 data, BOE has emerged as the largest supplier. So almost 30% of the total television market is being catered by BOE, followed by CSOT around 23%, and the major Taiwanese manufacturer is Innolux, which is contributing to 17%. So we can see almost 70 to 75% of the total open cell is concentrated in China. Coming to open cell bonding, currently, as I told, CSOT is the only player in India which is doing the open cell bonding. And of course, the open cell bonding investments are not very huge. But again, the challenges are the same, is the supply chain. When we go to the next slide, we'll see that the key BOM parts which are used in the open cell bonding, again, the supply chains are concentrated outside India. So these are some of the key parts that we are using in open cell bonding, apart from the pure cell, which is almost 80 to 85% of the cost. We have the ACFs, flexible PCs, the COF, chip-on films, and the glues, the sealing glue. So all these supply chains are located in Taiwan, China, and Korea. So one of the challenges is, as we go for the localized open cell bonding, is to have these supply chains nearby and locally available. So what is the current situation in India as far as television manufacturing is concerned? The lack of display fabs in India has resulted in huge dependence. And it's not just a huge import dependence, it's now the concentration of the supply chain in only one country. So as we know, we heard about Dixon also, and if you see the media news also, there are some players who are considering considering investment in the television fab facility. But we know, as we know, it's not going to be, it's not an easy decision. The investments involved are huge in terms of somewhere around $5 to $8 billion to invest a TV fab. And apart from that, the challenges are the ecosystem. In morning, one of the speakers talked about the renewable energy, the concentration of renewable energy in China, the complete supply chain. And he was talking about the wafer cell that India had recently started. In fact, I was part of the wafer cell, the first wafer cell plant in India. And I had the first-hand experience of what are the challenges when we do that kind of a manufacturing, complex manufacturing in India. Compared to solar wafer manufacturing, fab is much more complex. So apart from the huge capital cost that is involved in putting these kind of plants, the other associated challenges like having the kind of ecosystem to support this kind of manufacturing in terms of suppliers and infrastructure and the manpower availability. Just to give a perspective, for example, in case of wafer manufacturing, to have a trained manpower, it takes almost 6 to 8 months of training to get a person to a reasonable level to handle the equipment and the processes. Compare it to an assembly line operator, maybe a week or 10 days is enough to bring them to that level. So this is the kind of the resources and efforts that we need to put on building the manpower. And these plants, as we know, they are highly energy guzzling plants. They require huge amounts of power and water. Not just the water, they require the ultra pure water, wherein if you are just taking say 1,000 gallons of ultra pure water, you need to input almost 1,500 gallons of the filtered water. As of today, we have only one player, that is CSOT, which is operating the bonding in Tirupati. But CSOT has its advantages because they have a very strong supply chain. And to repeat the same thing for other people, unless we don't have a very strong supply chain, the whole project may not have very high returns. Although the government has now, to boost the local manufacturing, the government has come with the incentives under ISM, particularly for the fab display, and also the ECMS scheme to boost sub-assemblies, particularly related to cell bonding, with turnover-linked incentives, for which we are also participating, and we have already planned investments in that direction. Also, as I was talking about, one of the big challenges when we are doing this kind of project is to have a local ecosystem of suppliers. In the same ECMS scheme, the government has also come up for the parts which are used for sub-assemblies with the capital investment incentive up to 25%. So this is one area where we are working with the partners abroad and in India to develop this kind of a local ecosystem. Coming to Radiant, what's the current situation and way forward? As I already told, currently we are into the module and final assembly, and also the SMT part and injection molding that we are doing locally. But we are already decided to make investment in open cell bonding and LED bar assembly. LED bar assembly anyway will be starting in a couple of months. And we are also very strongly looking into the possibility of going for open cell bonding. We are, as I told, we are not only looking at investing in the open cell bonding, but we are also working very closely with Indian suppliers and also partners abroad for developing the local ecosystem for parts, so that the whole business becomes much more viable. Also, to further boost our vertical integration, we are considering investing into the bare PCB and speaker manufacturing. And for speaker manufacturing, we are in discussion with one of the technology partners based in USA, wherein we want to enter into premium speaker segments. So for high-end speakers for televisions and for the audio products. And as I already told you, one of the major focuses for us related to these investments would be developing the local supply ecosystem. So that's all from the region, from LCGC Group side. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for sharing your perspective on the importance of establishing a solid supply chain. With that, we have the last talk before lunch from TCL CSOT. So I would like to welcome Ming-Jong. He is the chief of the Technology Planning Center at TCL CSOT, and he spends his time looking at multiple technologies and multiple format displays. And I'm really excited because he's going to talk about one technology that is very close to my heart. So with that, let's welcome him. Thank you.
Thank you, the host, to introduce. Thank you for having us. Actually, CSOT is a young company. It's just 15 years. Today, I bring the topic about interprinting OLED. It's a hardcore technology. But I hope to share our perspective and share about our advancements about interprinting OLED. Firstly, I will introduce the CSOT in advance. We think everyone knows the TCL. Know the TCL. How about the TCL and the TCL CSOT? Here is just a brief introduction to the TCL CSOT. Actually, we also belongs to the TCL Group. TCL Group have two entities. One is for the home appliance, for the TV set, they call it TCL Industries. There is the smart terminal, including the refrigerator, TV set. However, TCL CSOT belongs to another entity. We call it TCL Technology. We will focus on the semiconductor material, including the nuclear, renewable energy, and the display technology. The display technology is TCL CSOT. Actually, we have a 10+1 panel manufacturing line. We call it 10+1. That means we have a 9 LCD, one for final mask evaporation OLED, and we have someone special is one line for inkjet printing. So we call it 10+1 fabrication line, and we have 5 module factory. One is in India, and 3 in China, 1 in Vietnam. So although CSOT is a Chinese company, China company located in China, however, we have over 60% revenue comes from globally. So we are a globally company but located in China. That is our definition by ourselves. So we have a capacity in LCD about top 2. Top 1 is BOE. We are the top 2, but we have a top 1 capacity in LTPS LCD. So this is a market share due to the limitation about capacity. So for the TV market, we are world number 2. For the LTPS notebook, we are world number 1. However, in the high-end market, for example, the 98-inch plus, we are the worldwide number 1. We almost about half. Right now our market share about 40% in the large size display. So we have a full spectrum in technology. We have LCD, we have OLED. Actually, we do have a MicroLED. We have joint venture also in China in MicroLED, and the full spectrum and comprehensive production solution. So we are always thinking, what is the next for the display industry? So here is some witness. We witnessed the remarkable growth in the past decades. There is not LCD, there is a whole display industry over total output value. So in the past decades, it is very fast growth, about almost 10% every year. That is very fast, but recently we see dramatically slow down. They're just about 3%. what's going wrong. We think the scanner in the market growth is not a problem. The real problem is what is the consumer real requires. We do a lot of survey and do a lot of study, talk with our customer and talk with the consumers. We think the three major key direction they will care about. The first one is the screen itself. They prefer perceivable parameter. We are always looking at parameter higher and higher, but most consumer or user cannot detect a difference. So they also require something is they can perceivable. For example, large size display that is perceivable by consumers. Another one, the second factor is the well-being, because all of us almost spend at least 7 hours per day each day. We are always worried about the display will harmful to your eye. We are always feel the visual fatigue. So right now, almost 80% IOPia in the crowd, and even in the children, they will be a little higher. So we're always thinking, why is try to reduce the harmful to your eye? Another one is the impact to the environment, especially for the display industry. We almost produce, according to the United Nations report about the e-waste, about 5.9 million tons per year, and the e-waste still grows in very fast every year. So try to reduce the impact to our Earth. Try to do the low carbon emission production. So that's why we think the low power consumption, how to do the green production is important, and that is also why consumers think that is important. So let's see, we have a technology brand, we call it APAS. Actually, it is 4 directions. A means the amazing display experience. Maybe the online, maybe the image quality, maybe something. That depends on the application area. Second word is protective. It means try to reduce the harmful to your eye. The third E means eco-friendly. Try to do some display, have low power consumption, to use a recyclable material to do the display. The S means unlimited imagination, because we think, users always think the display, not just a display. They should have more function to interact with the consumers. So everyone, every time I share the report, the most excited is the inkjet printing. Inkjet printing already is something new. Especially, we do know we have a lot of LCD, but the technology almost mature in many directions. But for the OLED, they have a different way for lithography, ELIP, for the conventional EVAP 5-metal mask. But why we choose the inkjet printing as the next generation display for the OLED? Because we think they can meet the APAS. For the image quality, they can keep the color gamma, even a very low gray level. For the conventional 5-metal mask OLED, the color gamma will be very different with a very high brightness, very low brightness. But for the inkjet printing, they will consistent during the different gray level. Another one is it is also very suitable for your eye, because you can change the material, just change the cartridge. You can change the low blue line material directly. If you use the 5-metal mask, you have to change the vapor source. That is very difficult to manufacture for the mass production. So we think inkjet printing have a benefit for application. They can change the material very easy. Moreover, they can very friendly to our ecosystem. That is eco-friendly because using the inkjet, then it is quite different from the vapor OLED. Vapor OLED almost the material utilization may be just 30%, but for the inkjet printing, they can up to 90%. You can just print something you want. For the evaporation OLED, you just wash about something you don't need. So that is quite different. And at the more advantage, they don't have so many vacuum chamber. They can save a lot of power during the process. So we think the inkjet printing OLED can meet all requirements from the consumer. Good image quality, less harmful, less damage to UI, and green production about the display. But we still face a lot of challenges and many questions about the uncertainty and the challenge about technology. The first one is how about your resolution? Because inkjet printing still have some limitation in the resolution because you have to accurate to inject the ink to the right position. We do a lot of study and research. We change the inkjet printing head from the 4 picoliter to 1 picoliter because we want to do the high resolution. Conventional the inkjet printing may be just 100 PPI, but we try to do over 300 PPI. We do a lot of change in the inkjet printing head. How can we imagine 1 picoliter printer head? That means it's just 10 brother cell size. So including we shrink the droplet size and add some accuracy algorithm to accurate the precision about the droplet location. So we can achieve the PPI up to 350 PPI. So that is available to do the mobile phone. That is the real RGB for the mobile phone, it's just a pen tile. So here you can see your I think left hand. That comparison during the real RGB and the pen tile RGB, they don't have the color fringe. So you can see a much clearer image in the mobile phone and the notebook. Moreover, we face the challenge about the power consumption. Indeed, the inkjet printing OLED have a lower power efficiency right now, but we change the material system. So right now, our material efficiency have double in the past 5 years, and we do a lot of design in the inner structure. So the inner reflection can reduce by 50%. That means the light extraction efficiency can be double. Moreover, we have a process improvement. So here you can see the upper efficiency can be 50% plus because we made the surface more plain, more smooth. That means the effective area can be increased. So you can see your left, we can almost double about efficiency. Right now we have the confidence maybe 1.5 year or 2 year we can reach we can catch up the efficiency about the 5 metal mask. Someone will worry about the OLED, about the lifespan. The tough question for OLED always been the burning question, even the 5 metal mask OLED. But there is also the benefit from the inkjet printing OLED because inkjet printing OLED have very high aspect ratio. For the lifespan, it is relative to the current density about each pixel. We have a higher aspect ratio, means our current density can much lower than the 5 metal mask. That implies we can have a higher lifespan than 5 metal mask OLED. Here you can see the comparison. If just the notebook PPI maybe 200 PPI, we can about 1.5 times than the 5 metal mask OLED. If higher PPI for the mobile phone maybe 350 PPI, we can almost 3 times than 5 metal mask. That means our current density almost half, or even 1/3 than the 5 metal mask OLED. The implies the lifetime is much longer than 5 metal mask OLED. So we do a lot of study and the material utilization material system. In the past 5 years, we have about 10 times lifespan increase in the material system and our pixel design. So right now, we think we have confidence our lifetime is exceed the 5 metal mask already. As mentioned in the shop, we think outside is quite important key technology for the large size display. For the mobile phone, the backplane is LTPS, but that is very expensive. Our target for the inkjet printing for the media size display. So we think the cost efficiency is important. Besides, we think the low refresh rate is also important. So we choose the outside as the key backplane for inkjet printing OLED. We have 3 phases. The first phase is high stability. Because the OLED is very sensitive to current uniformity. So our first phase is the high stability outside backplane. The second phase, we will do the hybrid. The active area still high stability, but in the gate area, in our we call it a gate-on array. We use the high mobility upside. They can reduce the size of a barrel. Our ultimate target will be the high mobility and the high stability upside. We think if we can achieve the stability, the mobility over 40, and we can achieve the high stability, that will be an ultimate target to do the large size OLED. Right now, we already achieve the phase 2. We have a hybrid outside backplane, high stability in the active area, high mobility in the barrel. This year in the display week, we show a full application from the mobile phone to the TV set. Actually, for the inkjet printing OLED, is the only mass production technology can cover from the mobile phone to the TV. For the white OLED, they cannot use for the mobile phone. For the 5 metal mask OLED, right now still in the media size. So we think the inkjet printing OLED can cover various applications from the mobile phone to the TV set. So what is the next? We think the inkjet QDEL is the next. Also similar to the narrow LED, we think. We can easily replace the material from the OLED to the QDEL. Almost everything keep the same. So that's why TCL CSOT choose the inkjet printing OLED as our major target for the next generation display. Those for the self-emission display, we think the QDEL, they have many benefits, especially for image. The vivid color, the color gamma can increase by 12%. Longer battery life because they have a better efficiency for the emission efficiency, longer lifetime, because the QDEL don't have a chemical compound, so they can have a longer lifetime than the organic material. Last year we have a demo in the display week also. This is the world first notebook using the QDEL, but they still have some challenges. Here's the challenges. You can see the right table. For the red and the green, there's no problem. That is suitable for the commercialize. That's already. But for the blue, they still have a limitation in the lifetime. Our target may be 500, but right now the current lifetime just 200. The device structure will change to the time emission for the QDEL, but that's already. The left, they will be the strategy. Right now, the QDEL have a very good performance during the spin coat, but during the inkjet printing, we have to change the formula about the solvent and the process. They still have some work to do. Here's our latest result. Right now, lifespan, we have a lot, almost double, but still have the gap to our target about 500. But we think maybe 3 or 4 years, we can have a lifetime reach our target. Right now, the thermal stability have a big boost in our target due to we have redesigned our structure in the device structure. Right now, the device consistency is related to the mass production. We have to keep the consistency stable enough to enter the mass production phase. This is my last slide. We do a lot of work in the inkjet printing OLED, but we still have a gap between inkjet QD. So we still hope to have a more co-work with our partner, and we hope everyone join the inkjet printing technology, not just the inkjet printing OLED, maybe the inkjet printing QD. That is our ultimate display technology. We think that is the future of the display. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Jung, and thank you to all the speakers. If you could wait for 2 minutes, we would like to present the mementos to all the speakers. So with that, I would like to invite Vignesh.
Ma'am, can you call Harit, sir?
Okay. And also Harit Doshi to present the mementos.
I would request Mr. Harit Doshi to please present the memento to Mr. Vignesh Sanmugan, Senior Director, E-Ink. Yes. उनका नाम लिखा होगा विघ्नेश करके। I would like to request Harit sir to please present the memento to Mr. Ajit Aras, Executive Vice President, Sharp. I would request sir to please present the memento to Mr. Sanjay Munshi, Group CEO, Resolute Group. Sir, can you please present the memento to Mr. Ming-Jong, CTO of TCL? And now I would like to request sir to please present the memento to Ms. Neetu Chopra, Executive Committee, SID, Display Engineering Manager, Apple. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, ma'am.